Hello, my name is Ruan and this is my channel, The Yorkshire Sew Girl. Welcome back to all of my lovely subscribers that have been here for a while. I have just hit 7,000 subscribers. I'm not going to lie, it took quite a long time to go from 6,000 to 7,000. But I'm super happy. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who actually does subscribe to my channel and comes back to listen to me waffle all the time. And if you're new here, hello. I hope you stick around with us. If you like what you see, hit the like button and press the subscribe button and you'll be notified, hopefully, if you tick the little bell of any videos that I send out in the future. So today I am doing a collaboration with the beautiful Renata from the Twilight Stitcher. Now, myself and Renata have done a collab before. Last year, was it last year? Can't even remember. I think it was in lockdown. So Renata lives in Texas and we've had a Zoom call before and chatted, and we've always been very chatty on Instagram and become Insta sewing friends. So we've kind of chatted about doing another collab, and so here we are. Renata kind of said to me, what do you fancy making? Is there anything that you've got in the pipeline or you're thinking about? And I said, I'd love to make a nice dress for my holiday. And I want to make a bit of a fancy one. She was like, I'm all up for that. So she kind of said, look, you choose and I'll go with what you want. So I said, I would really like to make this. So this is the True Bias Calvin wrap dress and top. So that's the picture on the front, and I'll show you the line drawings here. So you can actually make it into a top, and then you've also got a dress version here as well. So I absolutely loved making this. I will get to the dress now to quickly show you. Ooh, I'll just wheel over here. Oh, just so you know, I'm wearing my Tabitha t-shirt dress by Tilly the Buttons, because I always forget to tell you, don't I? And this is my final dress. Now, we didn't talk to each other about what fabric we were using. I've had a few sneaky peeks, so Renata may know already what fabric I use, but I don't know at all what she used, so I can't wait. As soon as this video is out, I'm going to head straight over to Renata's channel. Obviously, I'll put her YouTube channel and everything in the description box below so you can do the same thing and go and see how she made it up and what she thought to the pattern as well, because I think it's always really good to get a couple of perspectives on a pattern. So this is my version. Oh, it's very fancy. Again, it's very, I'll fade into the background with that fabric, won't I? So I will put some pictures up here as well that I've been taking while I'm talking. So yeah, so that was the kind of first thing that sprung into mind, and Renata was like, I'm up for it, let's do this. So I wanted something that was a bit more dressy for an evening when I go on holiday. So, like if you're going out for the last evening's meal or it's a birthday or something like that, I wanted something that was a little bit fancy pants. You know what I'm saying, don't you? So I decided on this one. Now, I really like True Bias patterns as well. I've made quite a few of theirs before. And I think I bought this because I've got the paper pattern. I normally go for PDFs. I think I got this in a sale somewhere. Forgive me, I can't actually remember where. I want to say the Felicity Fabrics sale, but I'm not actually sure. But anyway, what I liked about this is there's not that much to it. So all you need is coordinating thread, hand sewing needle, 2 of each bra ring and sliders. So it does have those on, a bit similar to the Saltwater Slip by Friday Pattern Company, and an optional sew on snap. So there's no zips, there's nothing like that, which is always a bonus, isn't it? Now the paper pattern here, I believe it goes higher than this on PDF, but I will have to check that out. And again, I'll put the details in the description. It goes from a size 0 to 18. So I'll pop along the bottom here what sizes it goes to when I've found all of that details out afterwards and I'm editing this video. Now it says it's a difficult rating 2.5 out of 5. I would agree. To be honest, there was nothing in there in particular that I thought was very difficult at all. There's bust darts, so there's 2 bust darts here, look. which is quite nice to give this proper shaping. And the only other thing that's difficult is basically the amount of bias binding. Very similar to the saltwater slip. So you have bias binding that comes across here. You have bias binding for the back and the straps, and then you do some bias binding for the belt as well, so that you can cinch it in around the waist. But I think I'm a little bit weird because I don't mind doing bias binding. Is it just me, or does everybody feel like that? Because most people hate it and put things off, don't they? But I'm kind of like, bring on the bias binding. So let's talk sizes, okay? So I'll talk through kind of what my sizes are so that you get an idea for reference if you did want to make this dress. I should be a 40 body measurements, 14 on top, 16 on the waist and 18 on the hips, because I've got a big hips and butt. But I had a look at the finished measurements of each one, and there's not a massive amount of ease in this pattern, which is good because it's not supposed to have loads of ease. If you kind of look here, it is quite close to the body. So I did go with a 14 for the bust. That gave me 1 inch of ease. Now, normally I'd go for a couple of inches of ease across the bust, but because this was going to be wrapped over, I knew I didn't want it to be gapey. So I went with the exact body measurements, which was a 14. My waist should have been a 16, but I actually sized down to a 14, and that's because the body measurements meant I think I would have had about 3.5 inch ease around the waist. Now, I know it was going to be tied, but I didn't want it to be loose and baggy where you tie it. So I went down a size. So I went down to a size 14 on that, and that still gave me 1.5 inches of ease. And then I knew it was going to be tied in anyway. And then on the hips, I stayed true to size on that, and I went with an 18, and there was only 1.5 inches of ease there. But I have to say there's no problem with the ease on the hips or anything, which is really, really good. So I did it in this absolutely delightful viscose from Rainbow Fabrics Kilburn. Now, I cannot remember if this is one of the ones I was gifted or one of the ones that I've bought, because I have represented them a few times and I've bought from them an awful lot of times as well. But it's absolutely stunning. I love everything about it. The colours, the feel of it, it pressed really well. I was really, really impressed. Now, for a size 18, let me get this right because I did view B, you needed 2.5 meters. And I had, now did I have 2.5 or did I have 3? I had 3 meters, but there was a flaw in the bottom of the fabric and I did not realise. So it was only when I came to cut it out, I ironed it, and then I was like, oh no, there's a flaw going through it. But it was only towards the bottom, to be fair. So I kind of had 2.5 inches, at 2.5 meters, which was exactly what I needed. But then you also need fabric for the bias binding as well, and it tells you need 1 meter or 0.9 meters of fabric for the bias binding. And I was like, do you know what, I'm going to manage this. Now, normally I would lengthen a pattern as well. I am 5'9". I believe these are drafted for 5'6". So I was like, oh, am I going to have to actually add some length on? But I had a really good look through Instagram and I couldn't see any problem with keeping it the length it was. And I couldn't go any further because of this flaw that was in the fabric. So I was really, really pleased. And then I had to try and work out from all of my scraps of fabric how I was going to get the bias binding out. And I managed it. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. Luckily, the back piece and is it the underarm pieces are not that long. So I managed that no problem. It was the straps, the waist tie that was mega long. But I managed to just squeeze it out. So I was really pleased because there was hardly any waste from this project whatsoever. And we all love it, don't we, when it's like that. So yeah, I was really pleased that I managed to get all of the binding out of it, because I thought I may have to do a few cuts and then add them together, which doesn't matter because I've done that loads of times before and you can never really tell when it's patterned anyway. But no, I managed to squeeze it all out. Yes. So I didn't lengthen it. I couldn't lengthen it because of this flaw. And do you know what? The length is perfect. And I'm 5'9", so that really, really surprised me. But hey. So yeah, like I mentioned to you, you need bra rings and sliders for the straps, which I really like. Since I've started making the saltwater slip, I love using those because I always struggle with the length of my straps. It doesn't matter how many times I go and try the garment on and then sew it and maybe knock a bit off and then come back and sew it. It always ends up to not be quite right when I've got it on. I don't know if anybody else is like that, but it happens to me all the time. So bra rings and sliders are perfect. Now I think I got mine from eBay this time. I did have some previous, but I'd used them from First for Fabrics. Now they didn't have them on their website, but they did have them in their haberdashery. But I do know that they were asking recently about what sort of things would we like to see, and I kind of put a bit of feedback in saying I'd love it if you could do those bra rings and sliders because they were so much better quality than the ones that cheap ones that I bought off eBay. I did have a look to see about some metal ones, but then I thought, you know what, if I'm on holiday and the sun's hitting it, oh, what is that? Don't tell me that's a spider on my fringe. Did anybody else see that then? Or was it just me? Was that a little baby spider? Sorry, random. Chuck a bit of randomness in there, you know what I'm like. What was I saying? Bra rings and sliders. So yeah, I thought I'd best not get metal ones because what if I'm out in the heat and it gets really hot and burns my skin? I don't know, maybe I should get them, but I'm hoping to maybe pick some more up when I go to see Tamlin on our Sew Toon adventures. So you do need that. But yeah, construction, no problem at all. I thought it was really, really simple. Couple of bust darts, put your pieces together, put your binding on, bish, bash, bosh. You're done. I loved it. So I think the only modification I need to do to it, and it does state this in the pattern, is to maybe put a snap here for modesty. Now you'll probably see from my photos it looks absolutely fine excuse me, but as soon as I sit down it gapes open. So I am going to put it on, sit down, move around in it and try and work out exactly where I want that to go, because I will definitely need it. As soon as I sit down I'm flashing my bra. So, and I do know quite a few people had that comment to make as well when I was researching quite a lot about it on the hashtag. The other thing that I did on this, which I'd never done before, which sounds very exciting but probably isn't to you guys, was a little thread chain. So you sew a buttonhole in the side to feed the wrap through, and then on the other side you do a little thread chain to keep the wrap in place. Let me see if I can find it and show you. Where is it? So there's my little buttonhole, look, that's just by the side of the seam. Don't know if you can see that there. And then on the other side, which is here, I've done a little thread chain for the belt, look. Can you even see that? Oh, look at that. Let me get out of the way so you can see it. Look at that, how cute is that? I've never done one of those before. I love it when I'm learning something new. In fact, I'm going to keep this here for something else I need to talk to you about. But yes, I did a little thread chain on there as well, which I thought was super cute. And then the only other thing for me is how they finish off some of the straps. So what they tell you to do is when you're doing your bias binding and then you're threading it through your ring sliders and then you're pulling it all together, they tell you to just zigzag the ends. It's not good enough for me, that, I'm afraid. So I did that to start off with, and then I really didn't like the look of it. And it's also the same when you attach it to the inside of your garment as well. Now I did that and it looked really, really messy. So then I thought, I'll put a bit of fray check on it just to make sure that it doesn't fray. And then when I put it on for the photos, I was like, oh, that's itchy. So then I had to come and cut all the edges of it off, and then I've hand sewn it down just to give it a smoother texture, really. So I think what I would do next time is I would fold it over the end of it, fold it over again, and then I would hand stitch it down. And that is exactly what I've done in quite a few places where it's needed. Instead of machine sewing it, because I always really struggle machine sewing something so tiny, I have hand stitched it instead. And I quite like that look, and it's quite therapeutic sometimes. So yeah, let me see if I can find on the bottom of the strap here, see if you can see that. So I've just hand stitched it down. I'm like trying to hide so that it will focus. So I've just hand stitched that down. And the waist ties, what it does is it tells you to sew them all up and then chop them down to size once you've tried it on. Well, I mean, I'm not the smallest of lasses, but the ties nearly hit the floor when I put them on. So yeah, you know when I was saying about trying to get the bias binding out of a certain amount of fabric, well, I think you could get away with shortening that quite a bit. And that's what I'll do for my next one, so I don't have to cut out such a long strip, because I must have, I wish I'd written it down now, I must have chopped off at least that amount. So it was a significant amount, because I didn't want it reaching down quite so far. But if you actually look at the picture, you can see that the bow is really long as well, you know, the ties of the bow, whereas I have them a little bit shorter, and I also tie mine in the front as well rather than the side. But yeah, if you see the line drawings, can you see the bow hoops come down really low as well? I think that's why they've got it so long, whereas I wouldn't tie it that long. But anyway, it's personal preference, isn't it? Personal preference. So that is literally it. I mean, how good is that? I would 100% make another one. I think it's a really simple pattern. It reminds me very much of the saltwater slip, but with just the wrap instead. I want to see again what I need to do about that little snap to keep my modesty. But overall, I'm so pleased with it. I was a little bit nervous as to how it would come out, because I am quite small on the top and quite big on the bottom. But to be honest, I was really pleased with how it looked. So wear it with confidence, and it doesn't matter anyway. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I literally cannot wait now to go over and see Renata's dress. I just know it's going to be beautiful. She picks the most stunning fabrics. And the other thing that she does as well, which is wonderful, is she will do what she calls a 360. So where you've just got a few static photos with me, she will go and she'll go for a walk and video her garment in motion, which is amazing. So yeah, please do go and see her. And Renata, if you're watching this, thank you very much for doing the collab with me. I always enjoy chatting to you on Instagram. So hopefully we'll be having a Zoom soon as well with a little cheeky Prosecco. That's in the works at the moment. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope if you do make the true bias, or if you have already made it, please do comment below and let me know, because I'd love to see. And then please go and check out the beautiful Renata and see what she's done as well with the exact same pattern. Take care everybody. Speak to you soon. Bye.